Call the meeting to order. Thank you for being here tonight. I ask Commissioner Harden if he'll lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for all your many blessings, and Lord, thank you for letting us be here today, and thank you, Lord, for the blessedness of the season we just came through, and thank you, Lord, for the blessedness of a new year. And I just pray, Lord, your many blessings over this meeting and over this commission, and just help and lead us, guide us, Lord, as we move forward in our county. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes. Yeah. Let me just go up over here and pull it up. I believe it's on the consent agenda, pulling item 8.
Number 8, consent.
And under awards and presentations, I have a message announcement.
Okay. Any other changes?
Motion to approve is modified.
Second.
I have a couple of changes as well. I'm going to add a proclamation regarding first responders under awards and presentation, and also a presentation from Chuck Robinson with Palaver Tree Theater. Any other changes? Have a first and second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Any citizens to be heard? W.D. Lansford.
I'm glad to see Mr. Lansford back. He's been gone for a while, so welcome back to the commission.
Thank you, Commissioners. Some of you may know me as Tennessee. Some of you don't even know me by my name. So that's all right. Anyway, what I'd like to talk to you about tonight is a report that I have here. It's an orphan report. No one knows where it came from, who did it, who was involved, or anything about it. It's the incorporation for Panacea. I'm going to be very brief about it. Won't take up much of your time, but I'd like to read you just a little bit. And mentioning here, it talks about the city, which is Panacea. It says, city will collect communications tax and return to county for certified by interlocal agreements. Number 2, city will collect 10% public services tax. Number 3, city will return 7% of public services taxes collected by county for services to be provided by interlocal agreements. Number 4, send communication services taxes collected by city for services to be provided by interlocal agreements. Number 5, city will return 26.66% of revenue sharing collected back to the county. Number 6, county will return 75% of half-cent sales tax collected back to the county. Number 7, city will return local options gas tax collected back to the county. 2 things you need to know about this. Number 1, it's in violation of Florida Statute 165.0225. Every one of those is in violation. Number 2, folks, it ain't going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lansford. That's all the citizens that we have. Move to approve the consent agenda minus item number 8.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Commissioner Kessler, item number 8.
I just want it as a separate vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This is to put Bob Danzy on the Code Enforcement Board, just so people know what it is.
Correct.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I'd just like to say that Mr. Danzy has made erroneous statements before us in the past, and for that reason, I'll be voting against it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. Guys let me skip right past awards and presentation, didn't I? We're moving right along.
Happens to the best of us.
That's the way handling business.
Well,
though.
the truth is, we're gonna try to
Richard
keep
did it
Miss
too.
Evelyn here as long as we possibly can. I think we're gonna move it to the end of the meeting. No. Well, we'll go ahead and have awards and presentations now. Mr. Brent Thurman, Clerk of Court.
Richard used to do that too, so don't feel bad. I never did it, of course.
Before I read this proclamation, I was just going to say I've been very fortunate in my life. I had a little mom and pop CPA practice for about 14 years here in Crawfordville before I became the clerk, and there I had one key employee that was my right-hand person. She was my sister-in-law. It was a big adjustment to come from a really small office setting and become the clerk of court, and in many ways I'm in the same situation in that I've had a key employee, and she's been like a family member in many ways. I'm going to try not to choke up tonight, but I am going to miss Miss Evelyn tremendously. And I have cried more about losing her than I have at most people's funerals I've been to. Proclamation to honor Evelyn Evans for her dedicated service to the citizens of Wakulla County. Whereas Evelyn Evans has served the citizens of Wakulla County with distinction and leadership capacity in the Clerk of the Court's office for 26 years. And whereas Evelyn Evans has been an effective and courteous and responsive employee dedicated to providing quality service by effective and efficient maintaining the minutes and official records of the clerk as clerk to the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Evelyn Evans has been an effective, courteous, and responsive supervisor dedicated to providing quality service by managing the personnel and caseloads of the court division of the Wakulla County Clerk of Court. Whereas Evelyn Evans has been an effective and courteous and responsive in her duties and responsibilities as clerk to the Value Adjustment Board for Wakulla County. And whereas Evelyn Evans has been an effective, courteous, and responsive liaison dedicated to providing quality service by supporting the needs of the judges and judicial support staff, court administration, law enforcement personnel, etc. And whereas Evelyn Evans has ably worked in a variety of positions, assisted in numerous software transitions, facility renovations, and assisted an innumerable number of citizens during her tenure at the Wakulla County Clerk of Court. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners on this 5th day of January 2015 that Evelyn Evans be and is hereby recognized, commended for her 26 years of dedicated public service to the citizens and employees of Wakulla County, and be it proclaimed further that the Board of County Commissioners and the Clerk of Court does hereby extend its best wishes to Evelyn in all of her future endeavors.
First, I'd just like to thank God for the opportunity, and then I would like to thank all the wonderful people that I've worked with over the years. And you commissioners, I have really enjoyed it, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
After being over here for 3 different parts of 3 decades and working with approximately 30 different commissioners, I believe Miss Evelyn is going to leave early tonight. No offense, but again, thank y'all.
Yeah, she's earned it.
Did you get that, Evelyn?
All right.
I spent many a day at Evelyn and Frank's house back in the day, and always enjoyed them.
Mr. Chairman, I think it might be fitting for each of us to say something. I'll begin. Since 2000, thereabouts, I've had the opportunity to interact with Evelyn. No matter what words are said, they're never going to be enough to thank her for not just the hours that she's beyond words. I thank you very much.
Like I said, I've known Evelyn on a personal basis probably since I was good friends with her son in high school and spent many and many a day over there, and I cherish those moments, and as always, had done an excellent job there. I remember when you started.
I've never seen Miss Evelyn without a smile on her face. She always knows how to solve a problem. Anytime we go to her, she knows where the solution is. I hope they don't burn up your telephone calling you after you retire, but I know it's big shoes to fill. Thank you for your service.
Evelyn, I like sweet people, and you're the sweetest person I know.
I've known you my whole life, grew up with Dale, eaten at your house many times, and but I thank you for the dedication that you have shown to Wakulla County and to this commission, and all the help that you have given each of us. And I've been on the commission for 2 years now, but you've been an invaluable help, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we've got an add-on item. Governor Scott has declared this week First Responder Appreciation Week, and I want to present that to the board for consideration for us to join his proclamation. And if I could read that. Whereas Tarpon Springs Police Officer Charles Condick and Leon County Sheriff's Deputy Christopher Smith were recently killed in the line of duty, and whereas each loss of a law enforcement officer is heartbreaking, and losing 2 heroes in less than a month is a cry for peace and a signal to all Floridians to pray for our men and women in uniform who protect our communities each day, and whereas Florida's first responders include law enforcement officers, firefighters, and EMTs who bravely and selflessly risk their lives every day to protect Florida's families, visitors, and businesses, and whereas Florida's first responders do not hesitate to risk their own lives in order to save the lives of others, and their commitment to continued training, skill enhancement, and interagency coordination make them vital members of every Florida community, and whereas act of kindness and appreciation from citizens for first responders provides them needed encouragement and support to confront the dangerous and uncertain situations they face every day, now therefore we, the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim January 5th through 9th, 2015 as First Responder Appreciation Week, and encourage all Wakulla County citizens to take time out of their day to show first responders and their families how much we value their service to our cities, counties, and state. First Responder Appreciation Week will be an opportunity for Wakulla County leaders at every level to demonstrate appreciation for all men and women who protect and serve our state as first responders, and an opportunity for Wakulla County citizens to say thank you to the first responders who keep them safe. This proclamation shall be effective on the date approved by the Board of, as provided below, passed and adopted by the Board of County Commissioners, Wakulla County, Florida.
Motion to approve.
Adopt. Second then. Doesn't matter.
Have a first and second. Any discussion, any comments?
Thank you for having us on.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you. We've got a few in the crowd, so thank you for all the service that you provide. Next, Commissioner Kessler, you have an announcement?
Yes, I do. I'm going to hold a town hall meeting January 27th here in these chambers, starting at 7 p.m. The agenda of the meeting is just to have it's the citizens' agenda. It's whatever the citizens want to address. So that's on January 27th. That's a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have to arrange that with staff? I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of us want to do that.
Oh, yeah, you have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Chuck Robinson, Vice President of Palaver Tree Theater.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to make an exciting announcement. On January 19th, that's Monday, we'll know it as better as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. There'll be a number of events throughout the county to celebrate the legacy of the great Dr. King. It begins at 9 o'clock in the morning over at Hudson Park, where the annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast in the park, sponsored by the Wakulla County, the Wakulla County Christian Coalition, will be offering breakfast, prayers, and a special speaker, Margaret Leonard, who's one of the original Freedom Riders. After that, around 11:45 a.m. approximately, we'll be at the MLK Remembrance at the courthouse. That event will be sponsored by the Wakulla NAACP for prayers and readings. And then finally, to end the day, which will be a long day actually, hopefully, we'll have our first annual Wakulla's I Have a Dream celebration. That's sponsored by the Palaver Tree Theater Company. It's at the Wakulla One Stop Community Center on Trice. The purpose is to commemorate the spirit and legacy of MLK. By doing so, we're bringing Wakulla together for a day of fun, food, activities for kids, including a DJ, some speeches, and choir performances. The highlight, of course, will be a basketball tournament. For information on the basketball tournament, I see Mr. Simon here, but you can also contact us for that. Teams are being informed. So that will be from about 12:30 to, could be as late as 8, depending on how long the tournament goes. So we invite everyone out there. We are looking for help, of course, sponsors, in-kind donations, and whatnot. So, but I certainly invite you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move into general business. Item number 9, David.
Okay, this agenda item requests board approval of an Eagle Scout project for Veterans Monument to be placed at Woolley Park in honor of Cecil H. Bolden.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, do we have any citizens? No? All right, any discussion?
I'm glad y'all got this worked out good.
Yeah.
I'm also glad. I think this would be a great thing all the way around for the monument to honor the person, and also the Eagle Scout project.
Cody Sahlberg, he did a good job of thinking outside of the box and got it done. So.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 10.
Item number 10, request board approval to waive the county subordination policy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any citizens? I need to declare I will be recusing myself from this vote. My other job, I'm in the mortgage business, and we finance this property, and so I will not be voting on this. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Don't forget to fill out the form.
Yep. I think Jessica has the form for me already.
Jessica, you got the form?
Give it to Evelyn.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move to item number 11.
Yep, Jessica's going to take this one.
Commissioners, this is for a commissioner appointee for the DCF Circuit 2 Community Alliance Committee, and we also are looking for an alternate for the canvassing board.
Who's the primary on the canvassing board?
You.
I thought it was the chairman by default.
No.
It's not?
Mm-mm. It's you.
Well, we voted at the last meeting for it to be you.
It is the chairman by statute, unless the chairman can't serve, and because...
And I remember I asked you last time if there's no election while he's chairman, so there's no reason Ralph can't be the person,
But
right?
this is a 2-year, I think.
I thought it changed, because the chairman changes every year. I thought the canvassing board changed every 2 years, the chairman did. If I'm incorrect, I'm sorry, and I'll be happy to do it, but I didn't want to deny
I've got enough
pad in your
collateral
resume.
jobs as it is.
Really nothing
I'm
more
good.
than counting papers, to be honest with you. It's manual labor.
Yep.
I'll be happy to do it, though.
You were appointed in December to be the primary.
Mm-hmm.
I was?
Yeah.
Yes.
I must have been asleep in that part of the meeting.
Yeah.
How about putting Jerry as alternate, since he just got reelected and he won't be up in 2 years during the next election?
I can do alternate. Now, I can't in the next during the election process.
He said
You need to be neutral.
he would need to be neutral and not have any activity in a campaign.
I understand, and I think we can address that when the time comes. He's just going to be the alternate.
Either that or go ahead and address it now. It doesn't make any difference, whatever you want.
It doesn't have to be a board member.
Right.
Do you want to do it? But Howard's up in 2 years. I don't know if you're going to run for re-election or not, but
Well, I mean, that we can wait. That's not a problem. We can put Jerry there and then wait till we get into next year. We just got to make sure we note that.
It's up to Jerry.
Yeah.
That's
You're
fine
gonna
with
be-
me,
You're
as
going
long
to be
as I
committing
can
to being
drop out.
neutral, and if it occurs that you are not neutral in the campaign, you would need to let us know, and we'd have to appoint somebody else.
Well, you can be assured I'll be involved in it.
Well, let's keep in mind that
Okay.
these gentlemen are hoping there's going to be an election for Panacea Corporation, and so
if you're going to be partisan,
there will be an election.
if you're going to be partisan, you can't be on the canvassing board.
Well, that's what I told David earlier today.
Yeah,
Okay.
we might as well go ahead and vote for someone to recommend to the
And no
circuit
offense,
court
Howard, I
judge.
know you usually take one side or the other of an issue or a candidate or whatever. I don't know if I don't want to put you on the spot. If you're not running for re-election, fine to do it, I guess, whenever, but I don't want to make you answer that question or whatever. Or Richard,
Well,
but he's gonna, same deal, 2 years from now, he may be up for re-election, he can't do it, Ralph can't do it.
I'm 2 years as well. First question is, do you want it? If
Jerry,
if you pass, then, if no one else wants it, then,
It's-
then the judge will appoint someone to that position.
Well,
It's just the alternate position. I'm confident I can stay neutral on stuff, because I was on the canvassing board before.
Well-
Jerry, I don't think probably needs to be the alternate.
I can be, well, really, I don't need to be alternate.
No. Does it have to be a...
So there's a way to go around this. If we don't have a person that can step forward, then there's a process. What is that process?
Judge appoints.
The judge of the circuit would appoint an elector from Wakulla County to serve at that alternate position.
If I couldn't do it, right?
We're talking about for the
Alternate.
alternate now.
I think in this last election we just had, we didn't have, none of us were
None of us were.
primary.
Well, why don't we put Brent Thurman as the alternate, then? He's not here.
He may be up for election then as
It
well.
won't be our call, though. It'll be the judge's call.
No, we can
But we can
appoint an
recommend.
alternate.
Right, but I
We
think
can
Brent will be
recommend.
up for election as well.
Yeah.
Because we put Cheryl, or actually, I think Jill does it, doesn't she? Because we put
We put Cheryl in.
Cheryl Ola did it without the circuit.
We made a
We just made a
recommendation,
recommendation.
and the judge confirms that, so.
You want to just address it when it happens and do
No,
it?
I think we should at least put it on the agenda again or however you want to do it, to make a recommendation for the judge so that the judge can at least look at our recommendation
As the alternate.
as the alternate.
so would we put this on the agenda for the next meeting,
Let's
and then
put
at
it
the
on Donnie
next meeting?
Sparkman then. He's not running again. I mean, I'm going to do it. He's not going to have to do anything. Be a nice little jab at Don anyway.
Well, you may want to ask.
Well, and it doesn't have to be an elected official.
No, it doesn't, because
As long
Brenda,
as it's an elector, so a person from the
I know.
population can do it. as well.
Brenda'd be perfect. At Jill's office, she did it before also. I'll nominate her then as the alternate.
I'd also, we may want to ask her, but I've also, if we're going
Yeah,
to
I
elect
would-
some of them staff, Jessica had asked for the possibility of doing it as well.
All right, I'll nominate Jessica as the alternate.
I'd second that.
Okay.
It's really, really boring.
Good, we
It's
just
good
got it.
food, but it's boring.
That's all that matters.
So we
All
got a
right.
nomination, first and second for Jessica. Any further discussion?
You want to go ahead and adjust the DCF Circuit 2
Yes.
Community Alliance? It can be a staff member. You want to do that too?
No,
Okay.
It can be a staff member.
it can be.
Okay.
Katie?
Nope. Why don't we come back and bring that back to you guys?
Okay, I'll make my motion then.
You could
I'm-
give David
Or just give me the
Yeah.
authority and I'll appoint somebody.
We don't have a motion yet, right?
You have a motion to recommend Jessica for...
The alternate?
Yeah.
In a second, I'll modify my motion to say, have staff appoint someone to serve as the
Second. I
DCF
second
Circuit
that.
2.
Well, Howard got the second.
Yep,
Go with the
that's
first
good.
and
Good
second.
with me.
And accept all the appointments as for the committees.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
You got all that?
Yeah.
Randy? Okay.
You do.
We should have put Randy
Next, we'll
on.
go to item number 12, legislative...
Item number 12, Cherie is actually listening to a legislative session right now, but this requests board approval of updated 2015 state and federal local priorities. As you know, each year prior to the legislature, we make sure that we have a large plate of projects to pick from, as well as issues, and this agenda item outlines those issues. It is too numerous for me to go through them all. But if you guys have any additions to this and/or modifications, please let us know now prior to moving forward.
I'd like to make the motion to approve, but with some modifications. And the one modification that I know I'd like to address is there should be prioritization. I know that I'm looking at the bridges. There are 3 bridges in one section. One is in Sopchoppy, one is Masha Sands, and the other is the upper Wakulla River Bridge. I would like to recommend that we prioritize them in the order of Sopchoppy, Wakulla River, and Masha Sands.
Okay?
I want to let the citizens talk first and see if they have an idea we
This
want
is
to
the
put in
next
there.
item. We don't
Okay,
have a
I'm
citizen
sorry.
card on this.
I'll second your motion. I personally don't really care too much for the regional stormwater facility in Crawfordville, because I don't know what that is. We don't, you know, we can't just go dig a hole with $20 million, and you gotta make the water flow to it, and we're pretty flat, but I'm not gonna make a big protest over it, so.
Okay.
We've got a first and a second. And I've got, speaking of bridges, on the Wakulla River Upper Bridge, I'd like for us to at least add language in there that if it's possible to acquire land as a part of that. We've got a lot of people that park boats in the road, and you know, there's garbage there on any given weekend, and if that's possible, that we can acquire and have a better boat ramp and parking facility, I think it would be
Not to get too much off of the subject, but Sandy Cook approached me during one of the debates. The Springs Park actually owns the piece across the river from where the ramp is now. She suggested that might be a good place to put a kayak launch, because they have several acres over there.
The problem is getting to it, but we're also, there's a lot going on there. We'll address that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, that's fine. I know there's been an issue for years.
We have a
with
couple of
parking.
things in works that could affect that, so.
I would also recommend a modification. The item as submitted includes the priority list for the Florida Association of Counties. I think we also should include the Small County Coalition priority list with that.
Okay.
Is that listed on there?
It's not there. I
You
think
have a handout.
It walks in concert with FACTS, Florida Association of Counties. And that's the reason we just blended it in with the Florida Association of Counties. So it's all about the same priorities.
I don't think they give any.
Is there anything that's different on the Small Counties Coalition list that's...
A little bit, just a little difference, but it wasn't enough that Sheree felt like it was enough to
It looks
really
more like
branch out.
general
But
concepts.
it is a good idea to, while we're doing this, to go ahead and approve the small county coalitions as well.
Okay, so this is the handout. Can we have a moment to...
Really,
Sure.
these last two pages, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, the governor's been putting emphasis on projects that improve springs and water. So we got lots of sewer in here, right? What about asking for money to retrofit Panacea? And I know we marked off the test and repair of southern portions for $800,000 because it said there's a FEMA grant. Is that going to pay to? I'd like to see if we could ask for money to go into all the grinder pump stations in Panacea and upgrade them all to modern standards.
This FEMA grant, what it'll basically give us is, once we get all the final details worked out, is it'll allow us to go in and scope and smoke test all of the lines and also get an inventory of where all the problems are. And then my plan is to go in with a systematic program at that point and say, we've got to do this section, and here's what's happening there, and march forward with some intelligence that said we'll hit the worst places first, and then
Why don't we just add in, since they're prioritizing stuff like that, I mean, I think we know the lift stations have an issue. They're single-phase pump, grinder pumps, from the 80s. I know we're not going to get the money, but at least put it in there and ask for, go back and rehab all of our old lift stations that are breaking down.
Well, this may be a good time to do it with Amendment 1 passing. They're going to be looking for projects that you know.
We need to have it on the list.
Water.
we got it. Okay, we'll add that to the list.
We could upgrade some force mains that are less than 4 inches. I mean, there's all kind of issues in Panacea we can spend.
Yeah.
Waterproofing, you know.
Yeah.
Any other changes to the plan as submitted?
I'm good.
We're good with all changes as noted on our first and
My
our second?
changes.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Brandy, you
Passes
got all those?
5-0.
Okay, good.
They're good.
If you need clarification on the Panacea, I'll be happy to explain it to you.
Next, we're going to move to tab 13, Zero Tolerance Proclamation.
Yes, this is a request board direction regarding adopting a proclamation declaring a zero tolerance to racism and racial discrimination in Wakulla County.
I'll move option 1, approve the proclamation declaring a zero tolerance to racism and racial discrimination in Wakulla County.
Second.
And which item is that? Which of the
This is a
resolutions?
proclamation declaring zero tolerance to racism and racial discrimination.
That's the first one, that's the short
Yes.
one. All right.
Do you have any citizens?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go.
We will have Mr. Randy Nelson. I'm sorry?
Randy Nelson.
Randolph Nelson.
Senior. That's Randy's dad, right?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Randolph Nelson, 24 Corn Car Road. Been staying in Wakulla County all my life, and some things that happening here lately, and going to meeting, but I haven't got really a satisfied answer about different things. I was talking the other day about racial in the county. If me or somebody else do something to hurt somebody else, whether what color, and we always mention about, say, well, we don't worry about color, we don't say no color, we don't try to treat everybody the same. But I tell you, you can't treat everybody the same. We can be fair with everybody and fair with anybody. But when you start trying to treat everybody the same, you got a problem, because we all have too many different attitudes and too many different things. I might go to the doctor with a headache, and the doctor give me one thing, give me a Tylenol. You might go to the doctor with a headache, he give you a lead. But so we need to get out of that thing about treating everybody the same and treat everybody fair, regardless to what color you are, where you come from, whatever. I've been around walking. I haven't had any trouble out of anybody, none of my kids or whatever, and I try to go to school and educate them and try to do the best you can towards it. But it's just, I don't know, I can't say what or whatever, but I can say this, that we have a problem, but we might not want to see it. We want to sweep it up on the rug, and when it get piling up and go to stripping over, then we want to start to do something about it. But let's start doing something about it before it get too high. Even in the school system, I hear some things that, you go in the school system, then when you get up to get a good job, then you go back and say, hey, you remember this? And the parents don't even know nothing about it. But if my kids, like, when they're going to school, if something, if they do something in school, I want to know something about it. Don't wait till the last minute to come telling me, your kid do this and that. I said, why all this and that? Well, we call you or whatever, but it wasn't done. So what I'm saying about, we need to, the racism in Wakulla County, we need to start looking at it and looking at it seriously, because it is here. Like I said, I've been in Wakulla County all my life. I'm 73 years old, and I haven't had any problems or whatever. I might have heard some things or whatever. I don't go blind about everything I hear. But when it starts affecting more than just me and around the thing, it's a problem. And so I want to say, to everybody, let's pray more and look toward, about doing something better. If we pray more and stop talking, we go to church every Sunday, put on these 3-piece suit, but the devil come to church with 3-piece suits too. And so we need to,
Thank you, Mr.
look, because, just because you got on jeans and this person got on a tie and all that, that don't make you be a good person. So we need to look at that, and because
Thank you, Mr.
definitely,
Nelson.
it's definitely on the thing. And the zero tolerance, I don't care whose son you is, where you from, or what color you are. Treat my son the same way yours be treated.
Amen.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
agree with that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, Mr. Chris Russell.
Hey, thanks, Commissioners. Mr. Nelson went a little long. You can dot me 2 minutes. He said good stuff. I agree with him. We need to pray more. Thank you for doing this. I was kind of surprised we didn't have this already. I think this is a great move that you're moving forward in. I agree with what Mr. Nelson said. It should be equality all the way across the board. We do need more prayer. We do need more church. I would call Mr. Nelson and others to come back and speak on number 17, which you're bringing up tonight. But thank you for bringing this forward. I hope you pass it. I hope you all support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chuck Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of the two attachments, this one is the wrong one. It's weak. If you look up there, you see the whereas statements. These whereas statements were written in the present. These are what we feel is right now. It has no reflection upon the whereases of the past, where we've been, where we've come from. That's how you build a resolution. You start from the past and you work your way forward. You acknowledge what was wrong and you move forward. Furthermore, there are statements of whereases, social and cultural rights, race, color, sex. There's all kinds of bigotry. The only thing resolved in this piece is racism. Bigotry is a much bigger picture than just racism. I ask you to reconsider. I ask you to reconsider and move to attachment 2.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion from the board?
Yeah. So we have a proclamation before us, and it deals with racism. And the board moved to get a proclamation before us because that is exactly the problem that our county was and is facing in light of the actions that have taken place here recently. It's totally appropriate to be focused on racism, which has reared its head in our county. So I support this first attachment.
I agree with Howard.
And I'm going to disagree. The second attachment supports all forms of discrimination, including racism. We certainly need to take a stand against racism, but we need to take a stand against all forms of discrimination. I think it's a mistake for us to not recognize that people can be discriminated for a multitude of reasons, and it would be better for us to put that a unanimous vote forward now that we each are egregious. We disagree with each form of discrimination, and now's the time for us to make that statement.
I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, Ralph, but in my mind, the more we focus on what happened, which was racial discrimination, the wider we cast saying this is wrong, the more that issue becomes a subset of that. So in other words, we could simply adopt a resolution saying do unto others if you had done unto you. That would cover a lot of things. It wouldn't even mention the racism. I agree with Howard. I personally would rather stay focused on what happened, acknowledge, we're doing this because of what happened when we're saying it's not right.
Well,
and maybe we can come back and do the other one later. I'm not opposed to that.
I think we're missing some opportunities if we do that. I get that. But if we look at that second whereas statement there, it says, whereas there's a need to reaffirm our commitments to the purpose and principles contained in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Well, first of all, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a United Nations document. So first of all, have we made a commitment to the United Nations and to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? I have not, and I'm not aware that this board has ever done that, and I'm certainly not comfortable with doing that. Second, if you look at the second attachment, let me tell you what we're ignoring by not adopting that resolution. We have a lot of good men and women throughout our history that have stood up for racial equality. Now, are we in a perfect situation? Have they solved all the problems up to this point? Absolutely not. If they had, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. But we've got some brave men and women that have stood up and done the right thing and try to move us better as a society and as a human race. So if we don't adopt the second one, what we're ignoring is the Civil Rights Act of 1866. We're ignoring the Bill of Rights. We're ignoring the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, the Enforcement Act of 1870, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We need to build upon the brave men and women that have gotten us to this point and acknowledge the fact that we're not there yet. We're not where we need to be, but we need to recognize the steps that have taken to get us here, and we need to build on that. I cannot support the first one.
Well, we really don't need to have a split board resolution on
We hear from
civil
the rest
rights.
of the people. Are there any other comments?
No.
Okay, so,
Howard, the thing I wanted to ask about, just want to make clear, I'm along with it, that we as a county, we need to make a strong statement that we're not going to condone racism, we're not going to condone any form of discrimination in Wakulla. One thing that I had asked about, I've read both this proclamation, both the other one. Each proclamation says things that I agree with, each of them. So I know tonight it's before the board to present one or the other, but I think we're going to agree with Randy in one aspect that we need to be sure that we convey to those in our community that we do not condone racism and we do not condone any form of racism in Wakulla. But I also am going to agree with Ralph that we also need to make sure that people understand that we're not going to condone any form of discrimination whatsoever in our county. So what I would like to present to the board is tonight, if it will be possible for us to adopt both resolutions tonight.
I was just running it through my head. I don't think they're in conflict with each other.
They're not in conflict, but both of them have good merit.
I think we got a good answer, so.
So that would be a motion.
Can we pull out the section that states a universal Declaration of Human Rights? That's a UN
are you saying,
initiative.
and then just approve the first one, or you want that thing out of there and approve both of them?
Yeah, I think both proclamations,
Without
Chairman.
that sentence, I'm okay with the resolution. I can't sit here in good confidence and declare that we're declaring the United Nations as the authority.
So if we
for
take
what
that
we're
out,
doing.
will you vote for the first one?
Absolutely.
But and only the first one.
I think that they both send a good message.
They both send a good message.
Look, I'm willing to compromise and approve both of them. My concern is taking the attention, the deserved attention, off of the single issue of racial intolerance that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. And let's take that second sentence out, and I vote for that.
I fully agree with that as well.
If we do that, then I would like to just have the first one passed, and that's the end. I'll agree to that taking out there, and just leave it as a one amendment that says focused on the racism.
You made the motion, and so you can modify your motion.
I don't want anybody here voting against this thing for whatever reason.
I'm not going to vote against any one of them.
I'm voting idiots.
Yeah.
We need to figure out something we can all five agree on.
I can agree on this as long as we're not declaring we're doing this on behalf of...
Just the first one. That's the original motion.
I'm okay with the first one.
Okay.
I think that we should do both, because why wouldn't we take a
like
stand
I said,
against
let's
discrimination?
find something we can all vote yes on. If we have one of us vote no, it's going to be on the news the next day as voting against it.
Let's take them separately.
Let's take them separately, that's fine.
Well, taking
actually,
them separately is not going to solve the issue.
All right. Let's vote. The motion is for the first one. I'll agree to take out that sentence. Let's have a vote on that. If somebody wants to vote against it, vote against it. If
Howard,
somebody
you made
wants,
the second.
If somebody wants to bring the other one up at a different meeting, that's fine with me. I'd rather not do it at this one. We're making ourselves look bad by sitting here and arguing about this.
I'm not wanting to argue. I'm fully for a proclamation, making sure that we send a message that we're against racism in Wakulla.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're in agreement on that.
Is the first resolution taking out the statement about reaffirming the
What are the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? What is it that's offensive?
Exactly. If you've got to ask that question, we shouldn't vote for that.
All right. But do you know what's in there?
Regardless of what's in there, why would we quote the United Nations as the authority of our resolution when we've got a broad history of civil rights acts and statements that people have put their lives on the line to move the conversation to this point? I think that we're kind of just shuffling that aside if we don't recognize those achievements that have been made.
Look, I'm okay with the compromise of taking that out of there, although it may be something that doesn't need to come out. Who constructed this proclamation?
I don't know.
Do we know what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights consists of?
No.
Okay.
I assume it's some sort of template from the United Nations, if I had to guess.
Okay, no problem. No problem taking it out. The emphasis right now tonight in my opinion, should be on this racial problem that we have in Wakulla County. And look, this is not policy. This is a proclamation. It has absolutely no teeth at all. What it's saying is that we as a board want to go on record and say that what's happened in our community is not acceptable. And these racial incidents which have happened in our community is not acceptable. And that was the purpose of bringing something forward, not to have anything else. It was intended to bring forward, to address this issue and put us on board. We have policy. We have the law of the land, which says those type of things, this freedom of speech. But when you start writing KKKs on churches, that's not acceptable. And so we're going on record as a statement, asking the citizens of our community to come on board and endorse this as well. But we have policies that address our staff and says if the zero tolerance in the proclamation, I don't know what it means. But zero tolerance, but we don't have zero tolerance in our county, but we do have policy, which says if someone steps over the line, there's a way to address that. And that exists. So this is a statement just to stay focused on the racism, the issue that we have right now, and let all in our community know that the board does not accept this.
I fully agree that what happened in our community was unacceptable, and I believe that our county does need to make a strong statement that we're not going to tolerate racism or discrimination.
Yes, I totally agree.
So,
I don't think it was ever our intent to reaffirm our commitment to the United Nations, and so striking that out, and I totally agree with everything else that you've said.
Okay. I'm fine.
I'm ready.
So we have a first and second.
Can I clarify, are we deleting the entire second whereas, or just certain words?
I think the easiest thing is the second,
the
unless
whole
we
thing.
want to reconstruct it.
Take the whole thing out.
And we've got a first and second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
I believe people are actually clapping for us.
Now, if someone wants to make a motion on the discrimination proclamation, now would be the time to do so.
I would like to make that motion, that we also do that as well.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Now, let me point out the difference between the two. The one we just adopted, the therefore be it resolved, says Wakulla County proclaims a zero tolerance to racism and racial discrimination and calls upon its citizens to eliminate all forms of racism. The one we're talking about now says Wakulla County proclaims a zero tolerance to discrimination and calls upon its citizens to eliminate all forms of discrimination.
Yes.
Yes.
So
and I'm in agreement with this as well.
Broader issue. Now, the reason I didn't touch too hard on it, I'm not going to vote against it, but there's all kinds of discrimination. Anyway.
Yeah, and so can I speak? Great. Okay, so let's go down to that. May I use your screen for a second? So, zero tolerance to discrimination. So zero tolerance to discrimination. Again, zero tolerance in a proclamation to begin with is questionable. But zero tolerance to discrimination. So therefore, the word discrimination now becomes a bad word, as opposed to, in the first one, racial discrimination. Discrimination. Little boy goes out, there's some bad boys and some good boys. He discriminates who he's going to hang out with. Discrimination is not a bad thing in that sense. This is a blanket discrimination. Zero tolerance for discrimination cannot go along with it just on the verbalization.
Well, let me address that. Up above, we address where this is coming from. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. These things are defined in law already, what is allowable discrimination and what is not. You know, someone can have discriminating taste, and that could be a good thing. But if they're discriminating and violating someone's rights in the process, that's been defined by the law. So we've referenced each of those laws, and let's read the last two whereas. Whereas discrimination still exists in the hearts of some, The process toward equality has been achieved by good men and women who possess the compassion and strength to continue the fight against inequality. And whereas we, the Board of County Commissioners, Wakulla County, Florida, desire to be counted among those who came before us who refuse to tolerate inequality for all people, we condemn discrimination and pledge to foster an environment that will work toward the elimination of discrimination until every person receives the rights they were endowed by our Creator. Now, surely you want to be counted among the people that will continue to fight for that.
You know, it goes back, Chairman Thomas, to what our purpose was in bringing this resolution or proclamation forward. It was specifically to address and respond to the issue of racial discrimination in our community. Now we go and we have another thing that we want to pass, and it takes away from the emphasis and the direction and the focus, okay? And that's wrong. It's wrong. It's not deserving that we do this. So for that and other things that are, you know, there's a long history, and the struggle for equality and fairness will continue. But when you do a blanket non-discrimination, that has very little meaning. And all of those, you know, the law of this land has been made pretty clear, and it wasn't that long ago under President Johnson, where we made a big sea change here in this country. From our original Constitution, which had racial discrimination in it, we've come a long way.
We have.
And I think that it's very important that that the people of this county understand that it's racial discrimination that is the problem now, and not to take away in any other means by putting forth another blanket proclamation to
That's
address
why I
that.
pushed so hard to get the first one done. I don't think this degrades, since it was separated, I don't think it necessarily degrades from the importance of the other one.
Well, I think the
We didn't
spirit...
adopt them both at the same time.
Right, well,
I wanted to
you would have
focus
liked
on-
to have a different meeting, and I think the spirit of compromise, again, has been hurt. So, I'll let it go with that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Passes 4-1. Next, item number 14, Martin Luther King land purchase.
Yes. This agenda item requests approval to conduct a public hearing and consider a purchase.
Make a motion to approve.
We have, just to let you know, there's 30-day due diligence period. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I want to talk about a few things.
Okay.
In your due diligence, you know, we was looking at the flood zone today. I don't
Right.
want to, if this is over half in the flood zone, if there's not enough of it usable, if you don't think we can get it out with the Loma, I don't want to be buying a
Yeah,
piece of...
we're going, that's part of what our due diligence.
This is
was.
just
We
due
didn't look at
diligence.
that, and Commissioner Thomas had brought that up as well.
And, you know, we talked about have to have flood insurance on
Yeah.
a county building. That doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense. But if
Yes,
we
sir.
can get it taken out with either a Loma, or if there's enough land there usable, Wade, you're familiar with the area. I think you could get taken out with a Loma, but...
Might be able to. We'll check all that. So we've got a 30-day look at it.
And you'll bring this back to us before...
Yeah, we'll bring it back to you.
This is just approval to go ahead and do your due diligence.
We will, if there's a problem, it will definitely come back to you, yes.
So this vote isn't that we're definitely going to do it, it's just a vote that...
This initiates the contract, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it initiates, excuse me.
This actually is a purchase agreement. It's just
Mhm.
in the contract itself, you have a 30-day period where you can determine whether it's suitable in any aspect for the county's purposes, and if you find that it's not, you can walk away.
And that's
from
going to
that.
be, if we vote affirmative today, that's going to be up to David, right? And I'm just giving you the guideline. In my mind, is if there's not enough of it usable, it's not in the flood zone, I don't want to be spending any money
Right,
on it.
and that's, we understand that.
And I'll be consulting closely, I'll be following it closely, and I'll...
I had the same concerns and spoke to David about that. Are you guys comfortable with the purchase price, $49,000, given the fact that 73% of it is in a flood zone? You know, I'm thinking that we can get that cheaper. I think that's too much money
What was the
First
listing
of all,
price?
if it turns out to be, it's definitely in flood zone A, we realize that. If it turns out that we cannot get a Loma and we cannot have a sizable amount of property that can be built there, to me, it wouldn't be worth it.
Getting it all,
at any
right.
Well, and that's where we will go back to the, if that's the case, and we'll bring it back, we'll call a contingency in here, and we'll go back to the purchaser.
What was the listing
seller,
price?
excuse me. Listing price was, at first was 100, then it went down to 89, and we made offer 40 and countered at
They
49.
countered at 49.9?
Yeah.
So this is their counter?
Yeah.
Did you counter back, or they?
No,
pretty
this is where I told them we wouldn't go any higher than that period
Okay.
in the story.
I think it's a pretty good deal for 8 acres if it's usable.
But at that time, we were not aware of the flood implications, and we've got to look at that.
It is an
We
excellent
checked
spot.
everything else but the flood.
How much
Because
is-
naturally, it was right in the center, and we didn't,
How much of it is flood?
about 70% of it.
My goodness.
But if you go look at it, you never think that,
I
because
know,
it's sitting
but
on
that doesn't
a
matter.
sand hill, so that's the reason we didn't check
They can't use
that.
the flood, they can't use the flood, so we're paying at 73%.
That's right, that's what I'm saying, we'll go back to them, we gotta see if we can get a Loma, and...
We're
and
paying,
take
all
it.
of a sudden now, we're paying 4 times 10, we're paying now 12,000 for the good acres.
Right, that's right, that's right. That's right.
I've got a copy of the
Mhm.
printout if anyone's interested in seeing it.
Well, it doesn't matter really if 75% of it's in flood zone, that's 75% somebody can't use.
Well, another thing that I see, the flood zone A encompasses the entire road frontage. So, I mean, even any driveway or any road would be in that flood zone unless we're able to get a
For
Loma.
example, the dump's in the same flood zone, and it doesn't go underwater, so it may be possible. That's why I want to give him the flexibility to see if he can get with the surveyor and see if he think they can get a Loma done on it, which is a, what does that stand for? I should
Letter of
say
map
Loma.
amendment.
There you go, Ralph knows. Letter of map amendment from FEMA, getting it out of the flood zone, and then if we can get 60% of it usable instead of unusable,
Right.
it's an excellent spot for a fire, and it greatly benefit Wakulla Gardens.
It is one of the best spots for a fire station.
So are you saying that we're wanting to build outside of zone A?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we can build in
If-
zone A, but we're gonna have to elevate and we're gonna have
Flood
insurance to
insurance.
cover.
If it doesn't get any better than this, I'd say do not buy it.
And I agree.
Is that part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Who made the motion? Jerry did.
And I would strongly, do you have the ability after tonight, if we approve this, do you have the ability to renegotiate the price? Let's say you figure out you're gonna get a Loma and only 50% of the land is gonna
Sure.
be usable. You
Sure.
can go back and
Sure we can.
renegotiate the
Sure we
price
can.
and get it at a proper
We
number.
will renegotiate the price, we'll cancel the contract and renegotiate the price.
Okay.
Will you change your motion to say if it can't be taken out, if you can't get any better flood zone than this, then we do not approve it at that purchase price?
Yes, I'll do that.
I'll
Okay.
change, I'll check
Very
second.
good.
Does that work for you, Ralph?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't do the full vote. We do have a couple citizens. Mr. Chris Russell.
Thanks, Commissioners. Bob Dan's here, so I'll speak on his behalf every time tonight. Number 14, I agree you're paying way too much for that. When I saw this, I've got some acreage, I'll sell you, at a better price. It's at 77% in A, but across the street it's got a Loma, and it's on Gager Posey.
Well, that's good, because that means,
So here's what I'd say is, you're paying way too much. I'm not necessarily saying you'd ever have to buy my property. I'm saying you're paying absolutely way too much. Sit on that, walk away, go from it $40,000 for something that's near a landfill, ain't gonna sell, first of all, a landfill that has contaminated in the past, so then you're gonna have a drinking water issue if someone wants to put a well there. You're talking about put indigent cemetery there. That's kind of disrespectful in my opinion, but I agree we do need to get a fire station towards Wakulla Gardens. Absolutely agree with that. I'd suggest you go out and you look around and try to find some other properties. It is a buyer's market right now. That would be, of course, you've already voted on it, but that'd be a
We didn't do the
suggestion.
full vote.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Bill Russell.
I don't like the idea of saying this is for a new fire rescue, because people are going to think that you're getting ready to build a building there, and that's not where you need to build a building. If you need to build a building, you need to get the paid EMS people, the paid fire people, into a building near Trice Lane, community center, something like that. if you've got $49,000, put it in a account and build a building there. But reading this, there's going to be a new fire station going there next week. That's what everybody's going to think. And I very much agree, and Chris did not discuss this with me, but the idea of I died poor, they took me to the dump, that ain't good. Okay?
All right, so we have a first and second on that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
And this will be coming back to us.
No,
matter-
this is a problem.
No, not coming back.
If there's a problem, if there's a problem, it will come back to you. If we can't resolve, but I'll be talking to each one.
Well,
of
either
y'all.
way, I mean, problem or
it-
no problem, we should know what happened with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say if there's a problem, we need to put on the brakes, my opinion. All right, next we're gonna move to planning and zoning. It's past 6 o'clock. We are safe there. Tab 15, Tiger's Den.
Motion to approve?
Hold on. This is a quasi-judicial item. In accordance with our code, each commissioner needs to disclose any contact they may have received from interested parties or their representatives, lobbyists, or any other third parties concerning this application, or any individual investigation or personal knowledge that is being relied upon. As you sit here and make your decision tonight, Commissioner Harden.
I haven't spoken to anyone or received any emails.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
Commissioner Thomas?
I have spoken to Oscar Tirado and also Mr. Mortham.
No.
I did not believe so.
Thank you. If there is anyone here in the audience who's going to provide any information on this application, please stand up to be sworn.
Pay attention.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Louis?
My motion still stands.
And I second it.
Very good.
Yes, Commissioners, this, real briefly, it's just for a 3-lot subdivision with a future land use of ag and a zoning of ag, and we're recommending option 1 for this 3-lot subdivision.
And also, this is correcting an illegal subdivision.
Who made this PowerPoint presentation?
Staff.
Staff? That's
That
a
would
lot
have
of work.
been either Summer or Melissa or Louis.
I did. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think
anyway,
it's, I don't
it
think it's
corrects the
controversial.
It corrects the problem.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's 20-something acre lots.
We have one citizen that heard. Mr. Brown, you want to speak, or?
Just available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next, we'll move to Commissioner agenda items. Commissioner Kessler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This agenda item requests the board approval of an anti-fracking resolution, which is attachment 1, and a letter, which is attachment 2, requesting a statewide ban on fracking. And hydraulic fracking is the oil drilling technique where sand, water, and chemicals are injected deep into the ground under pressure in order to fracture the oil-bearing shale rock and allowing the oil to be extracted. And in Florida, there's a type of fracking that's called acid fracking. There's a lot of problems with fracking, especially in Florida, where we know from fracking elsewhere that we don't know a lot of the chemicals that are being injected into the deep into the ground, and we don't know how those chemicals are when they're all put in with water, and a lot of them find their ways into water systems, as happened up north. So there's a let me go down to we've actually had fracking here in Florida, and there are additional applications. There's a Senate Bill 166 that was written to prohibit hydraulic fracturing in Florida, and what this is asking that we pass this resolution and to inform our legislatures of that action if we so pass that. So that's what this is about, to have a stand of anti-fracking, supporting anti-fracking in Florida, to ban it.
Do we have a motion on that?
That'd be my motion.
Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of second. Next item, tab 17. That is my item. In the state of Florida, we live in a unique situation where the founding fathers of our nation declared that our rights come from our Creator, that we are endowed by inalienable rights, which means that those rights are not subject to the whims of the government. They acknowledge that they came from God, from the Creator. That is our national, "In God We Trust" is our national motto. In the state of Florida, we have the unique distinction that it's also our state motto. I think that's significant, that we need to be proud of that heritage, and we need to prominently display that. Our state seal does include "In God We Trust," but the fact that it's our national and our state, I am proposing that we proudly and prominently display that above our state seal.
Is that, that's not sufficient?
I think it needs to
I mean,
be
it's
more,
on the
more
TV, it's
prominent, so
centered right
so
there.
it can be seen. I think it needs to be a statement that's outside of the state seal, and should be our statement from Wakulla County, that we're acknowledging the state and the national motto, and we're...
Say prominently displayed, what size letters do you mean?
Well, I would say proportionate to what's there now. You know, I mean, we can circle the top, or we can bring it across the top. And it certainly, it doesn't need to be as wide as Wakulla County is there, but I think it should be distinctive.
I mean, I would really like to...
I will second that
Exactly.
motion.
He didn't make a motion.
We don't have, and before we get a first and second, I would like to make one correction to the agenda item. The cost for this will be minimal, but it will not be at taxpayers' expense. Every
Yeah.
bit of it will come from private donations.
Yeah.
So taxpayers will not foot the expense of that.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution to display our national motto in the commission chambers.
I'd like to see, I'll second it, but I want to see it. I don't want 4-foot tall letters up here saying "In God We Trust." Not that I'm anti-religious. I'm going to vote for it. I think that's sufficient, personally. I said I'm going to vote for it. That says "In God We Trust." It's prominent. It's behind the chairman's head. If you want to make some other statement somewhere else in the room,
what would be
does
acceptable?
Does it need to be on TV?
Is
that one of the
I think
qualifiers?
It's not a qualifier. I just think it's something that we should embrace. We should embrace the history of our nation.
I know we're trying to design this thing now. Would it not be better beneath the Wakulla County?
You might not see it through my head.
The chairman would get in the way of it, but still it would be there, and a certain size letters, and run it beneath instead of the top of it.
Then you're almost
I would
putting...
like to see it up top.
I know we're getting into
because
the
it's prominent.
details, but then you're putting "In God We Trust" above our job here, which is Wakulla County Commissioners.
I don't see it
We're
as above.
commissioners first, and not preachers and then commissioners.
That's our
I kind
national
of
motto.
agree with
We're not preaching by that statement. If I declare that there's a Creator, then that doesn't make me a preacher. If I declare that it's raining, it doesn't make me a weatherman.
You know, again, I'm not anti-religious. I just don't want to have the appearance that our first priority is religion. You know, I agree with displaying it prominently. That's fine. But you know, I don't know. I like to see how and where. Is it going to be over there? Is it going to be over
Mr.
here?
Chairman, I would recommend that you have a design made and let us approve the design.
Okay. So
As
do
far
we
as
want to move forward with the approval of the idea, subject to final approval of the design?
That's fine with me.
If we make the motion to approve the concept and the idea of it tonight, and then it'll at a later meeting bring back the
I'm
actual...
perfectly fine with that. If you want, we can specify where we want it and the size limit, and we can pin that down right now tonight. You know what I mean? Say if we put it up top, then we'd say we're gonna go, you know, from here to here, or for whatever size that we think would be acceptable. That way we don't have to drag this back.
With all due respect, if you put it on top of the Great Seal, you're gonna have it, at the ceiling.
What if we arch it around the top?
Well, now that, I have no problem with that.
We arch it around the seal, say, from here to here.
I think that's good. I have no problem with that.
We can get designs from, I think Auto Trim gave you the quote.
Yes.
I can call her, we can get some designs and bring it back.
Okay.
Quite possibly that's probably a good idea, but as the chairman said, rotating it across the seal in a 4 to 6 inch, whatever letter.
I'll get a couple
suits.
different designs.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like you're saying, if you want it above, that's fine, but also it would be prominent in looking at the TV screen. Realize the cameras are above you, and they're projecting it down. It doesn't. You're not in the way as much, and under the seal, there's plenty of room if you wanted to do that as well.
I mean, I'll take whatever the board is
I
willing to
think
go with.
personally-
I think it should be prominent, but
Well, that
Prominent
actually,
means
looking at the
visible.
screen, that would make it more prominent
yeah.
to put it under from.
You actually,
Yeah.
if you look at the screen,
You-
the top of the seal, you wouldn't see anything above the top of the seal.
Yeah, the camera wouldn't pick it up. That's what I'm saying. It would be more prominent sitting underneath it.
Below it.
Yeah,
I'll
below
make
it,
that
because
my
your
motion
camera
then.
is looking at you is up top up there. You
No.
can go right around here and look at it. Well, he just changed it, but he can show that to
It
you.
would be more prominent if
I see it on
if
there.
it was underneath.
So do we wanna specify, do we wanna arc it, do we want it straight
If
across?
it's gonna be underneath, it can just be straight across.
Okay.
I would say, if it's gonna be underneath, just be straight across, but I'm in favor of making it more prominent.
Okay.
And I include that in my motion.
So are we saying bring the designs back, or
Yes.
pin that design down?
Just pin it down.
We're gonna pick a font tonight and a color, or
I think
let's
we-
see something
Same-
on
They
TV.
match-
same,
we match
same
the
font,
font
same
color.
color. Well, it'd be a smaller font, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
the same font.
Right.
Maybe about half the size of Wakulla
Smaller
County.
font size,
Yeah,
but same
that's right.
font, Times New Roman.
And I do realize this is a slippery slope for some people, but I'm willing to, I don't think this is too huge a step since it's already there,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And, but,
So you modify your second for us to put it underneath, straight letters?
same fonts, either half that size or smaller.
I would say half that size.
So we have a first and second, we have two citizens. Mr. Chris Russell.
Thank you, Chairman. Once again, since Bob Danzy isn't here, I will be speaking on every issue tonight. Thank you for moving this forward. A lot of discussion on where you want to put it. Personally, you could go straight across, in God on one side, we trust on the other, on the Wakulla County. Great point, the fact if you do it above, although God is above. Look, you're making some great strides tonight. You should be proud of yourselves for bringing this back. Thank you for doing that. Hopefully, there's only 2 people speaking on it. I wish there were more. We were just saying earlier we need more prayer. We need more of this. I hope you do it. Sounds like you're going forward with it. Come up with a great design, make it look good. You have an opportunity there as well. But Wakulla County, in God we trust. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Russell.
I'll start calling them the Russell boys.
Actually, I was all for it, but I thought you stopped too short. I think that in some size it should be near the entrance of every county building. You could probably get one price. ATD could probably turn it out and put it near the entrance of every county building. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I believe everyone should have the right to believe in religion or religions of their choice, or not believe in every religion. But I am in favor of a strict separation of church and state. And our founding fathers went at great lengths to establish such a separation between church and state. Our country was not founded as a theocracy. It was not founded on religious law. This is, to me, very serious business. It's simply not a feel-good thing because most of the citizens see no harm in emphasizing prayer or in emphasizing religious words in their government. I know the majority of people in our county probably have no problem with that. But the problem goes to what the fear was in our founding fathers, that they saw and they had the wisdom to say that there should be a separation between church and state. So it's more serious than invoking God in a football game. I guess both sides, teams invoke God, and I don't know how busy God gets on football weekends with all the football games that are going around. But countries have invoked God, and we see in some of the countries in the Far East with Sharia law and theocracies. And once we start this, as Commissioner Merritt mentioned, it becomes a slippery slope. This is a belt buckle. What this belt buckle says, it says, God's with us. It's a government belt buckle. It's a Nazi belt buckle. God was with them in the minds of the people. We have to be very careful, and I think it's important to understand that if you go back, and I brought up during the meetings we have before the county commission meeting tonight, there's little conferences that go on during the day that gets the commissioners up to speed on certain issues. That back when we were an early country and the Baptists were the minority, the Dansbury Baptists were very fearful that them as a minority, that they would be shoved around by the majority religion. And they wrote a letter to then President Thomas Jefferson. And it's in that letter where Jefferson responds to the Dansbury Baptists. And he quotes, he quotes the Constitution, but he also states, and I'll read it, I contemplate with severe reverence that the act of the whole American people which declared that their legislature should, quote, make no law respecting religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, quote, thus building this wall of separation of church and state. It was very serious then, it's very serious now. The motto came almost 200 years after the founding of our country. This was not something that was brought forward in God We Trust. It was 1956 or whenever it was that it came to be. Before that, we had a motto, I thought it was a very fitting motto. It was E pluribus unum, out of many one, or some people like to say united we stand, but it literally is out of many one. So we also have a situation where one in 5 Americans now list themselves as non-religious. That's an awful lot of people to disrespect. Government has the authority to government. Government shouldn't mix itself with religion. Religion is a very personal issue. Religious tests are banned in this country. There's a lot of law on that. And it may not seem to be a big thing, and I'm sure it's going to pass tonight. But the separation of church and state was very hard, was fought for very hard by our founding fathers. It's very easy to go down that slippery slope. And I've read the information that was provided in this, and all of the other counties that have adopted this. And there'll probably be more now that there's this effort to get more on board. But right now, there's about 14% of the counties in our country that have taken on this as displaying the motto. So I just bring that up as part of the history. The chairman said something about our founding fathers, and there's more to be said about our founding fathers. That in our Constitution, I believe it is the absence of God, and that was the legal document they brought forward to be the law of our land. It doesn't mean that people should be non-religious, but it does mean that the separation, this wall of church and state, was looked upon to be very important, and that's why I'll be voting against it.
Thank you. And you mentioned Thomas Jefferson, and I think we can probably agree that he was the primary founding father that wanted to make sure we maintain a distinction between government and religion. The word separation of church and state never appear anywhere in the Constitution. This agenda item that's coming forward tonight is consistent with the First Amendment to the Constitution. It's been well litigated to be found legal, sufficient. I would also like to state, just let's imagine something. Let's imagine an atheist that doesn't believe in God at all. Founders of our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence signers, they acknowledge that there is a God. They acknowledge that our rights come from God, and they're unalienable rights. So let's say that wasn't true. Let's say that, you know, if we believe like an atheist and there is no God, then that means where do our rights come from? Our rights can only come from government if there's nothing above government. If there is no God, no natural law that establishes those rights. So in the absence of God, if government has the power to give us our rights, they also have the power to take our rights away. I don't acknowledge that. I don't believe that, and I know our founders certainly didn't believe that. And even an atheist should not want to live in a world where a majority of people in power in government have the ability to arbitrarily pull rights in and out at their whim, depending on who's in power. You mentioned Thomas Jefferson. Here's another quote from Thomas Jefferson. God who gave us life gave us liberty, not government. Can the liberties of a nation be secure when we have removed a conviction that these liberties are the gift of God? Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. One additional quote. The rights of conscience we never submitted. We could not submit. We are answerable for them to our God. The legitimate powers of government extend to such acts only as are injurious to others. But it does me no injury for my neighbor to say there are 20 gods or no God. It neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. Anyone that doesn't want to believe in God, they have the freedom to do that. And I would fight to protect that freedom. Anyone that wants to declare, as our founding fathers did, that we're one nation under God and our rights come from God, I just think we need to embrace that.
It's like that movie Inherent in the Wind where they argued about evolution. I think we should just vote. Nobody's going to win.
No, this is, we don't want to get into a religious dialogue here about atheists and agnostics and Protestants and Methodists and Episcopalians and whoever else. I mean, it's stated very clearly in our Constitution that, and the amendments, that there will be no infringement on people wanting to believe in whatever religion they want to believe, and the government's not going to be saying we're going to have a state religion. That's there. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, and I think other people are saying, that it's important to have a separation between the church and the state. Jefferson's words and his metaphor was exactly that wall must be kept high and impregnable. He felt very strongly of it. Jefferson was a religious person who actually rewrote his own Bible. So it doesn't have to. This is not a thing about being religious or not religious. It's a thing about government and having a separation between church and state.
And like I said, I know this would be problematic for some people, but in my mind, I don't think it's enough of a trespass upon the separation of church and state.
No.
For me to not support it. But I do,
Yeah,
I acknowledge your argument, so.
Well, I just point out the
Your
history.
points, I should say.
Yeah, I just point out the history.
I have one last comment, and I'll let it go. It's clear from our founders that our nation was founded on God. Trying to remove God from politics is about like trying to remove the foundation from under this building. It doesn't work. It's what our nation was built upon. And I'll leave it at that.
I would agree with that. My motion stands.
Any further discussion?
Actually, it was my second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. Next, let's get to something easy. Panacea Incorporation.
Yeah, stole my line. I'm gonna get some water while y'all get started on this. It's gonna be a while.
You wanna take it?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit of it.
Okay, go ahead.
This is something that I brought forward, and I do support this, the incorporation of Panacea. The only thing that I have is that somewhere in the charter, there has to be a statement that before there is a tax assessed or an assessment assessed, that the people have the right to vote for it. I'm a non-tax person from the top to the bottom, from the time I came here until when I leave.
I
will
think,
not
Jerry,
vote.
that's inherent. If they vote to incorporate, that will be at the understanding that they will be subject to a millage rate if their elected board decides it. I don't know if you could say it has to be by referendum that they set their millage rate, but I do think it needs to be clear to the people, because in this study it says they're going to start out with a 3 mil millage rate.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm saying, is that, but it has to be in the charter. It has to, because if it's not in the charter, they have the freedom to go ahead and do it without the vote. That's my understanding. If it's not in the charter, they have the freedom to assess and tax without the vote.
So you're saying you want their millage rate
I want them to just
by
say
referendum?
I just want them to say in the charter that if they tax the people of Panacea, that they will only tax them after a vote has occurred. I think the people of Panacea want to vote on the taxes. Very good.
Please.
For the record, John Moyle, I'm a lawyer and have helped on this effort. I appeared in front of y'all last year on this, and I think you know, the point is that we ran into this last year when we were working with the legislature and legislative staff. They said, you know, you got to have tools in the toolbox. Whether you use them or not is something that the board will decide. I think that the people, when they are being presented with this question, will have information that, you know, as you all have the ability to do things and to implement things or not implement things and hear from your citizens, I think should the legislature pass this and the people vote on it to do it, similarly the elected city commission would have the ability to say, do we want to use this tool or not use this tool? I know Mr. Mitchell and others have said there's no intention to use this tool, but we ran into this issue with legislative staff and others, and I think there's actually a statute that says you gotta have the tool, whether you use it or not is subject to the discretion of the subsequent board that would come in. So I just wanted to clarify
Mr. Chairman, can I
that.
talk with him?
Please.
Let me ask you a sort of a direct question and see if I can phrase it properly. If it's not in the charter, do they not have the option of doing the tax or assessment without a vote of the people? If it's not in the charter, do they not have the option of doing it without a vote of the people?
I think they would. I think that the elected commission, you know,
That is correct. Well, that's what I want the people of Panacea to have, the option to vote on this before they're taxed.
Yeah, and
the problem's going to be is this, is if you put it in the charter, then you're taking away from a republic type of representative form of government, okay? You're changing the styles of government. Now, as a board, they could say, yes, every board could say, if we're going to raise the millage, we're going to take it to the electorate. The problem's going to become is taking it to the legislature, and they're going to say, if you set this town up, you as the board, you see the financials, you see what's going on, you're going to have to make those decisions because you're a representative form of government, the republic. If you were a democracy, yes, you send everything to the people. But there has to be, the legislature is going to demand that it be set up to where the board has the ability to raise or lower or charge those fees. Now, what you're saying is right, but the problem becomes is you're going against the types of government that we've already got set up.
Jerry, if I could clarify something here, I don't know, make sure we got Randy's point. Let's step back through this thing. What you're saying is, okay, it gets approved, the citizens say, okay, we want the city, they vote for it, and now they come to the people and say, well, we want a 3% vote, and they put that before the vote of the people to decide, do you want the city and do you want the 3% vote? I think the point that he's trying to make is that that's basically what's being brought to them up front. They're saying that we want you to approve the city, and the proposal that we received had a 3% millage in it. And so at that point, they'd have to be voting for two things. We want the city, and we're willing to accept the 3% assessment. Is that the point you're trying to make? So basically, you're handling two votes in one vote. They need to know going into it that if they vote yes, they are voting for the authority of that 3%.
They need to know even further than that. They need to know
they're voting
Up
for
to
10.
Yeah.
But to make this thing work, they've got to have a millage. The model just doesn't work unless you have that millage.
Well,
So that's what I'm saying. It has to be brought up that way. To
I
where
support
if you're
the
gonna do it,
city.
we have to pay for it, and here's what it's going to
I
cost.
support the city if you can tell me that the people will have a vote before they're
I
taxed.
don't think we could tell you that at
Yes,
this point.
they will. By voting for incorporation, they're deciding whether or not they want to be taxed.
That's right.
Because if they vote yes,
They can be
they're
taxed.
subject themselves to 10 additional mills.
That's right.
If the city commission decides to do that. Now, St. Mark's, I think, has a very small millage rate.
They have a
right?
fairly hefty millage rate.
Do they? Okay. Sopchoppy, I think, has a...
Sopchoppy doesn't.
Zero.
But they max out their PST.
PST, that's
Plus,
right.
they also
So-
have a water company.
So education is the key here. By voting for this, the citizens that would be affected by it are agreeing to be subject to a 10 mil increase in taxes.
All right, I'll go along with that.
Trust me, they're going to know. There's only 300 people voting.
I go along with that.
Or a couple thousand, whatever.
I just want to make sure that at some point in time, they say we love taxes.
Plus, they have to elect the commission.
Come up to the microphone, sir.
Yeah,
And fill out a speaker card when you're done.
They're just like us as far as the millage goes. If we boosted the millage up to 10 mills, every one of us would be gone the next election. So it's very similar.
The commission has to run.
It doesn't matter, Randy, if we're gone, they still got the tax.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be lowered by the next commission, of course.
Yeah, but they still have the tax.
Right, but,
Right.
right.
That's just another safe gate for the taxes. They have to elect the city officials, and the city officials will have to campaign. And if I campaign that I'm going to vote for a 3 mil ad valorem tax plus a 10% public service tax, I don't think I'm going to get elected.
But when you present this thing for the vote, that's before you're
Who reviews the ballot summary language?
Basically speaking,
Who reviews the ballot summary language? That's
Let's let Jerry finish.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
That's my answer to
basically
this
you take
question.
the proposal to the citizens of Panacea if they want to be incorporated.
Correct.
And that will say somewhere in there that there's going to be a tax.
No, it will not say there's going to be a tax.
So there could
It says there is an opportunity to be a tax.
Up to 10%.
And that's why I said who reviews the ballot language, because it's not incorporated until they vote on it.
I beat this thing all the way down, so I'll go along with.
Yeah, and I think what Commissioner Moore is trying to get at is he wants to make sure that it's represented to the public, to the Panacea property owners, that there will be extra cost they will have to pay.
We understand that we can't do this for free.
That's right, and as you understand, it can't be for free, and that there will be a millage, and there will be these things. As long as I think that's where he's trying to get.
And who reviews the ballot language?
Not us.
Can your attorney answer that question?
I cannot.
Can your attorney?
As you know, the wetlands issue, I don't want to talk about the wetlands again, but the ballot language could have been worded hugely different either way, you know what I mean? And that would, somebody could read it and say, this isn't that bad, somebody could read it and say, this is horrible. So, I'd like to at least know if they're still county citizens until they vote, who reviews what we're asking our county citizens to vote on.
Well, they're gonna vote on this incorporation.
That's right.
But you gotta have a ballot summary.
It's gonna be in the special act.
You can't put this whole document, Jerry,
So the
on election day and
legislature
expect
will
them to read it.
format the ballot
See what I'm
summary.
saying?
Is that-
Oh, I understand
That's
that.
why the ballot summary is so important, that it says you know, you may be subject up to 10 mils of property tax.
Will that be in the ballot language?
Well, what our county attorney just said, when it comes through the legislature, that ballot summary is gonna be part of the act. If the legislature approves that act, House, Senate, Governor signs it, it's gonna include ballot summary at that point, if I
Really?
understood you.
I don't know what if the ballot summary is gonna include that language. I
It's
think
not in the bill.
That, but it's not, the ballot summary is not in the special act?
There is a ballot summary in the bill.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That's where, that special act is approved by the legislature and.
And that's what we're
signed by
asking,
the governor.
that's what we're supporting them to pass?
I haven't read it.
Are we, this resolution supporting the bill that's in the legislature right now?
This is the county commission of Wakulla County supporting the citizens of Panacea, the ability to go to the legislature and ask for the ability to become a city.
When will we get to look at the ballot summary that's in the bill? Because I think that's part of our...
When are we gonna be able to see the bill?
It's there now. You should have a copy of it.
We don't have a copy. No, we don't. But the problem is, and you're right, is after this, we don't have any other shot at it.
Well,
That's it.
I understand that,
What is the bill number? I'll look
just
it up.
so long as the people of Panacea know that they have the option. If they vote for incorporation, they're basically gonna be voting for a tax.
There will have to be, yes, because they can't operate it on nothing.
Jerry, I wanna, after the lawyer, I wanna speak for a second, Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I just wanted to make the point, I mean, this issue came in front of y'all last year, it didn't pass the legislature. We're back essentially with the same thing. I've met with your county manager, we've worked through it, with the exception that given the discussion last year, we got a strong message that says, hey, you need to have this tool. Whether you use the tool or not will be the decision of a subsequent city commission, assuming that the legislature passes and it moves forward and it's approved. But I think, to Commissioner Moore's point, I mean, clearly there's going to be a public debate and a public discussion, and the notion of the ability of a city commission to impose ad valorem taxes is going to be something that will be discussed. It's not, when we're discussing it here tonight, it'll be discussed. I think people in the area know that that potentially could happen. So, we're not running from that potential thing. And to the point that Mr. Merritt's making is, when you vote it up or down at the election, assuming it passes, that'll be part of the discussion.
Okay, if I'm okay with that. I just have to beat that horse one more time.
No, and we've talked about it.
I've beat it enough, haven't I, Mark? You think?
Mr. Chairman.
I've beat that horse enough, have I not?
And thank you for bringing it forward. It's part of the discussion.
One other little point here is that I have Mr. Tennessee, and he's gone home already. But he brought up the point of 165-225 about counties prohibited from requiring consideration for allowing incorporation.
Would you like to direct that to our attorney or their attorney?
The only thing, basically my only statement on that is the law is the law, and whatever the law is, we have to abide by it. Okay.
Well, I'll take a first crack at it, and then maybe sometimes lawyers agree, sometimes they don't. I'll venture out and get on a limb on that. But I read that statute as saying the county can't, as a condition of allowing a vote on incorporation, ask for consideration. What we're contemplating is the same situation you have, I think, with St. Mark's and with Sopchoppy, where the consideration will be for services that are provided. So, you all will help maintain the roads, and we'll provide money to help maintain the roads. We're not going to have a Panacea Road department. So I think that my reading of the statute is it's not consideration for allowing the incorporation vote to take place. It's consideration for services that you all would provide to the city.
And in fact, I agree with that, and in fact, you read our resolution, we're saying that it's going to be neutral to us. We don't want to
Well, I just
take
wanted
on
to-
additional responsibilities and have the rest of our taxpayers pay for those.
I just wanted to sort of answer Mr. Tennessee's
I appreciate that. And
question, statement, whatever.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
What I want to say is just let the people of Panacea know that I fully support Panacea's efforts in becoming a city. I have the unique position of spending 8 years as a city commissioner Sopjobby before I was on the county commission. So I've sat there. I know the things that cities do and don't do. I've served on there with David and along with Angie Rozier, and I believe that Panacea should be given the opportunity to decide for themselves, to make an informed decision if they want to have that legal ability to govern themselves that they would have. So I'm going to be voting for this resolution in support of giving that opportunity to Panacea, because the final vote's going to be with the citizens of Panacea anyway to decide if it's not going to be decided at this commission whether or not it's just I want to give the citizens of Panacea an opportunity to make an informed decision whether or not they want to govern themselves as an incorporated city, but I support their efforts.
Which session is this bill in? I'm sorry, I was trying to look it up.
I couldn't find it in the 2015 bills that have been
Is it
filed.
House, Senate?
House. I searched in both.
I can't find it either.
It may still be in bill draft. I was going to say it's probably in draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the reason we don't have a copy of it.
Well, the resolution doesn't even say that we support it. It just says we're not opposed to it, as long as it remains revenue neutral. I don't think it's going to pass, but I'm not opposed to it. If the citizens want to tax themselves or whatever in Panacea and they're willing to pay that extra money to have a nicer community, well, good for them.
Did we get a first and second on this?
No.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the.
Talking about it.
Yeah, I'll make the motion we approve the resolution on the incorporation of the Panacea community.
Do we have a second?
Actually, Jerry had made the motion. I'm sorry.
I
Jerry
made the
had
first.
Okay.
Who seconded Jerry's motion?
I'll second Jerry's motion.
We have one citizen, Chris Russell.
That's right. Bob Dan.
I would like to see the bill as soon as either the draft bill or whatever. I'm especially curious about the ballot language, because until they vote to incorporate, they're still Wakulla County citizens. I think it's incumbent.
There'll be citizens after that as well, too.
I know, but I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that they understand as much as possible what they're voting for or against. Sorry, Chris.
No worries.
You got 30 seconds there.
Thank you, Commissioner Merritt. Hey, this was actually the reason I came tonight, and then you had so many other good things on the agenda, the things you've already passed, so thank you for that work. Like they were saying earlier, you know, we came here a year ago asking for your support, and I'm coming as a citizen, as a taxpayer, that at the time last year it could have impacted my taxes. But y'all have resolved that with this zero net budget balance, which is a great move. You have to take it forward in a manner that allows for the taxing. The legislature will not take it forward if there's not a mechanism to have the funds come forward. You've worked it out with them. It's a great opportunity. Basically, it's given the citizens of Panacea the opportunity to decide if they want to govern themselves. I'm glad you're supporting it. I'm glad to hear great discussion there. And let me flip something over. I really want you to move this, but I sure appreciate the fact that my 5 commissioners are sitting up there thinking about me as a county taxpayer, that I won't be burdened as well. So thank you for your job on that as well. Please support this.
Thank you. That's our only citizen. Any further discussion?
Yes. So, Mr. Edwards, the attachment 2, has that been modified from previous to bring it into accord with?
Attachment 2, I'm sorry.
The study?
Hold on.
Yeah, the study.
The study has been brought into accord with the revenue neutral, yes.
Okay, great. And so I'm going to be voting against this. Not that I don't want the citizens of Panacea to have the opportunity to vote whether they want to have an extra layer of government and tax themselves, but because I think it is not good on 2 levels. And the first one, that the citizens of Panacea, well, someone mentioned that there were 300 citizens of Panacea. I don't know what that number is. But it's only if they live in Panacea will they have the opportunity to vote. Business owners that have businesses in Panacea and live outside of Panacea will not be able to vote. Landowners that own land in Panacea and live out of Panacea will not be able to vote. And I'm fearful of the adverse economic impacts that may have on businesses, present and future, locating in Panacea. But on more of a concern to me is I don't believe this is good for Wakulla County. And I think that it's going to result in more of a drain and taxation to our county as time goes on. There's no guarantee that it will remain revenue neutral. We could be seeing expense out of this. And again, there's two levels. There's the people of Panacea want to vote in this. For them, that's fine. I don't think the Board of County Commissioners needs to make a resolution up in support or in non-opposition to. As I understand, there's nothing that would prohibit Panacea from increasing millage rates or other taxes. And I don't know that we really come out revenue neutral on the providing of the services that we provide. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Any further discussions?
One, I may have just resolved it by looking at the communication service tax. And the first year, it's not being credited as a revenue, and it's not being credited to pay back, I guess, so.
Right. Okay. That's right.
And is it still the $11 per month utility per meter per household in this equation? Mr. Edwards?
Is that a 3% increase in the PST?
That would be the 3%.
So that's $11 per house.
I'd have to figure that, but that was
okay.
That was the difference between last year is they were going to charge $11, but this year they came back and said, well, let's just take the 3%, make it to 10, and make the 3%. So it's probably right around that same dollar figure.
So
the way the numbers, because my number for that revenue line, even when I had it for $11, is about the same as the 3% as the PST.
It would be if your power bill was $200 a month, 3% is an additional $6.
Okay, so it's now lower.
Yeah.
If you have 2 meters, it becomes
well, then also you got the
$12
communication
or
service tax.
What's your power bill is?
And if you're a business, and that's what concerns me, the businesses there usually have higher electricity bills than the individual people. Not that $6 a month is nothing. I mean, $6 a month is $72 a year. I think that's right. But the businesses are going to get socked for this. So those are my concerns, and I think it's important, as whoever's mentioned, that people should be understanding that they're taxing themselves at that rate.
That's part of what I was meaning about the citizens having an opportunity to make an informed decision whenever they go and vote whether or not they want to be in city. It will be up to the group that's forming it to educate the citizens, to let them know so they will make an informed decision. But I fully support their efforts to be a city.
And let me just, so, you know, again, the concern of mine, all the stakeholders, not just the people living in Panacea, but those other stakeholders that I consider businesses, landowners, and Wakulla County Commission.
And I think what the commission is also, and it's like I talked to you, Mark, and John about, is the commission just wants to make sure that when this is presented to the public, to the Panacea folks, that it'll be represented both, here's the positive, here's the negative. Because you can't say you will never, ever, ever have a ad valorem tax, because we're all not going to be around in 10 or 15 years. And they could have someone else. So I think that's what they're trying to say, is just make sure that you present both sides of it. Here's the good and here's the ugly.
Here's the bad.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm sure there'll be some people painting the ugly as well, that you probably won't have to paint all that, so.
Right, but I think it needs to be fair. The good needs to be painted just as much as the ugly does. Just the bad.
True. Give people the facts and they'll make the right decision.
Exactly.
Yep. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. right. That is the end of our regular business. County Attorney, any items? County Administrator?
We started this morning construction at Azalea Park, or destruction of some trees. Started at Azalea Park.
Was Chuck Hess out there with them?
Chuck Hess approved every one of those trees and
Okay,
marked
I
every
just want
single
to
one
make
of
sure we
them.
got that on record. I saw the 4 trees laying on the ground.
That's right. We'll be accepting the bids for the construction of the walking trail are due this week. We'll be getting those back, coming to you guys on the 18th to hopefully award it to a contractor, and we'll get started right after that in February and have it completed hopefully in a month. So we'll have a new facility. I just asked the public to please be patient with us. That those that walk Azalea Park, please be patient. Utilize our other parks. We're going to get it, and when you get it back, it will be much, much, much better than what it is today.
Nice, thank you.
And the park is closed.
It is closed to
Is
all
closed.
traffic?
Yes, yes. Do not go in. It is dangerous.
Okay, very good.
Chuck's out there.
Paige, do we have any citizens for the second session? Thank you. Ms. Anjanita Rozier.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Anjanita Rozier, and I'm the president for the Wakulla NAACP. I wanted to speak on the proclamation concerning the racism issue that you have on your agenda for tonight. I wanted to thank Commissioner Kessler, Commissioner Merritt, and Chairman Thomas for speaking to the issue in your last meeting to adopt this for consideration. One of the things that I wanted to point out is the fact that, to my understanding, the proclamation doesn't really have a whole lot of teeth. It acknowledges that there will be a zero tolerance, but I just feel that it really needs to have some teeth behind it to say what's going to happen in the event that these acts occur. Considering everything that we have seen and experienced in the last month or so with the vandalism of the churches, and also with the situation of the undersheriff and the officers at the Sheriff's Department, I really think that there needs to be some serious implications in instances like this. When we can have an officer on the street that has already had one incident where he's threatened to shoot African American teens, and these kind of acts can be taken, be put out there. I really think that there really needs to be some serious teeth implemented, so that whenever these acts occur, that it's just not a slap on the wrist and then these people go back to work as normal. It's serious enough that these type of issues is catching attention all across the country, and the fact that we're also dealing with them here in the county, I think, speaks volumes to what we're dealing with here. So again, I appreciate the idea that you guys are implementing the proclamation, but really think that there needs to be some serious input into what are some of the consequences that would occur when matters like this happen. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Simon Nelson.
And I wasn't going to speak on any of that tonight. Mine was on a whole new different deal, but just seeing you guys talking about it, which, and my thing on the proclamation, I might want to give kudos to your staff, whoever, did that, because obviously, and I won't say angered me, but to the point where if you five are going to put your name on something, make sure you read it. Make sure you understand it. That's the whole thing. I'm not going to sign my name and thing if I don't write it, or if I'm not some part of it. So that proclamation, to me, you heard of smoke and mirrors. To me, I think that's what it is. I mean, I think it starts. You guys are the leaders in our community. You're it, and it starts with you guys. I mean, that proclamation should have been something you had something to do with. You actually sat down and took time you know, if it meant something to you. To me, it didn't. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. Obviously, right now, I mean, I'm not trying to get angry on it. My whole point is, when it starts with you as our commissioners, when we go into things that our county is about, if it's in the ambulance, if it's in whatever, to see someone different than you. I mean, because, you know, you look around, think about it. You guys, you look at that proclamation, but have you really, and we talk about men and women that in this county have suffered and and fought against racism and discrimination. You know, I'm not saying you guys never experienced it, you know, but it's one of those things where you take time to read it, try to understand, but then go in the workplace and see how many of different people other than yourselves that are in authority. Walk through the courthouse. Now, I'm not talking when you see someone here cleaning, because probably tonight, who's going to clean? You may have a young minority cleaning. Courthouse going to be cleaning. My son, I want my son to see someone else other than, you know, than white people. That's a place of authority. I want him to know that he can be a judge, he can be a lawyer. Where does he intern? But when you go through there, the interns come from, you know, your kids. You know, my kid doesn't, you know, do they have the opportunity to be interns to work in the county, do things to be seen? That's where you guys come in, because you guys control that. You guys control that. And so it starts up from the top. So when you once again, if you guys want to make a difference, and I see there's different things in God we trust, then live that. You know, there's a difference when, you know, smoke and mirrors, people thinking, okay, well, you know, yeah, it's racism everywhere. We're not down that. I mean, Wakulla has always been good to me. I grew up here. My dad, I never had a problem. I get along with everyone. You know, and I respect. There's a mutual respect. But my point is, just make sure, you know, my dad always talked about being fair. And I always do that. I'm in the school. I can't treat every kid the same, but I do treat them fairly. I can't treat one, you know, once the football player may want licks, he'll get licks all day. I won't give him licks. I'll put him in ISS. The other kid is afraid of licks. Call the parents, just give him licks. That kid I won't have a problem out of. You know, so be fair about it, but make sure that you guys are leaders, and you guys try to, you know, do a little different.
Thank you, sir. Chris Russell.
All right.
Bob's going to be very proud of you.
After Bob Danzy. Just a few things here. First of all, man, David, I was going to take up running, and you closed the park, bro. What's up? No. Good job doing that. My wife runs there, so thank y'all for doing that. And also on David, you know, sitting here as a taxpayer, I don't know if y'all caught this earlier, but David was talking about doing the smoke test down there in Panacea and on the sewage system. And then he said, and then let's figure out which one's wrong, and then let's address it by priority. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for thinking through your 5-year process and stuff like that. I mean, that is a fine move. Appreciate that. Happy New Year to everyone here. Thank you for taking the In God We Trust, and thank you for taking out both the racial and the broader discrimination. Now, I can say, following Simon, I can say for a fact, factually, that a commissioner called me after the first one that was voted on early on and said, what do you think about this? We got to attack the racial issue, but there's discrimination across the board, and we're not doing justice to the fight that we've had for racial discrimination in America. So if you see the Second Amendment, okay, the second proposal they did, that was crafted with commissioners. The commissioners were on it. I don't want that to be missed. I don't want you to walk away thinking that wasn't. I know for a fact, because I was talking with them, and that's why there was such a point to say, we've made strides, we've addressed this, it's in here, let's not discredit the fine work done. There was a lot of sacrifice before. So please don't walk away thinking that they didn't know because they got an argument about UN. I don't want you to walk away with that. There was a lot of behind the scenes work on that, so thank you for doing that. You have started 2015, you couldn't hardly get better. I understand the issues, theological issues there. I get it, I totally get it. But I'm telling you, you've set a standard tonight. You've gotten along great. You've had great debate. You've got, you know, your county manager here coming up with plans. You had some contentious issues tonight, and y'all really set a tone for 2015. I hope you take all the way through. Thank you for your fine work, and thank you for looking out for us. On behalf of Bob Nancy, I'm out.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to move to discussion items by commissioners. Randy, you've got the only properly scheduled one, so we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I just put it on there, honestly, so I wouldn't forget when I got here. You don't need to start with me, but when I think of something I want to talk about, I'll call. page and have her put it on the agenda so I don't forget. It's better than writing it on my hand. You can start on either end, or I'll go
ahead.
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I brought up the landscaping. The DOT is going to improve the intersection at the high school. All right, that's moving forward. And I had called Bryant. As you guys know, I've pushed over the years to try to get some landscaping done on the intersections, especially when we go to improve them, like the McDonald's. I would have much preferred to see some sort of landscaping instead of a concrete median there. Now, I brought it up just prior to the election and got nothing but crickets. No second, no nothing. And all the DOT man said we had to do was ask them to include landscaping in it, and we could even ask them to maintain it, so we don't even have to maintain it. So I wanted to ask specifically the chairman and the other board members, if I bring it back, again, I don't want to waste anybody's time, would y'all support making it as generic as possible? Not, if you're going to improve the intersection, we simply ask that you include landscaping and maintenance in it.
And we're not committed if they say no. I mean,
No.
we're asking
and we're not
for
telling
it.
them how to design the intersection. We're not saying we agree with how you designed it.
I
We're
would
simply
support
saying, if you're going to do it, we request that you landscape it and that you maintain that landscape. And we could maybe even make it broader, because we got in the budget to do Bloxham. We could just say, in the 319 corridor, if you're going to improve the intersections, we ask you to landscape them and maintain it. That way we're not even talking about the high school.
Yeah. I would
I don't
support
wanna waste
that. It's
anybody's
not much
time.
different than our
If there's
legislative
two
priority.
people that'll go along,
we're
I'll bring it
asking.
back. I'll bring it back.
I'll go along with it.
Next one, Guy Strickland Road. I'm glad Cleve's here. I used to have his job. But I got a call again from a woman up there. Guy Strickland Road was actually the number 11 road on our paving matrix for roads without right-of-way. The ones that were higher above it were ones like Old Bethel, which has since been paved, Old Shell Point, which has since been paved, several other Lawhorn Mill, since been paved. So this would rank pretty high up there in the rank. We spent a lot of money on surveys on it, but I don't think we're going to get the right-of-way. What I would ask is that we ask Cleve to work with David and look at stabilizing it somehow. I know the rock that was put in Wakulla Gardens and was also put on Lonnie Raker Road turned out great after it got ground into the sand and the dust went down. So I'm just asking them to look at it and see, come back with some sort of number, or if it can fit within the maintenance budget to do something with the road. The problem is it's just straight up sand, it gets wet, there's a lot of people that live on it, and it just turns into a dog mess. I guess everybody's nodding yes. Okay, good. A lot of people have asked me, when is DOT going to start coming to me and asking me about buying my property for right-of-way. And I called Bryant Park. The section from East Ivan north, they anticipate contacting people at the end of the summer about buying their property. So I know attorneys, nothing against the attorneys, but a lot of attorneys have been reaching out to people, writing them letters. Marvin had a stack of 10 letters from attorneys, not like Heather, of course, but soliciting people to represent them to the DOT. But the DOT is not actually going to start making offers or whatever until the end of this summer, which at least we're moving forward on it. And as we all know, you read Nicole's wonderful article on 319, we finally got money allocated for construction, that's a game changer. That's all I got.
Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So now we have a no tolerance proclamation, zero tolerance, I guess, proclamation that has put us on record as being opposed to the obvious things that we should be opposed to. But I had asked at a previous meeting what we as commissioners can do, what should we be doing, what can we be doing to help fairness, as Mr. Nelson said, to have fairness come forward. Do we think how this is being handled in our community is appropriate? Is there anything we as a board can and should be doing. So that's a question I put out to the board.
Do you have any ideas?
Well,
Like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about these proclamations there, there are lots of existing law on the books, and we can't just say enforce the law. I think that's a little too broad. I don't know if there's anything specific we can do. You know, the saying goes you can't legislate morality. So I'm open to suggestions, but I don't have any. I don't know. I mean,
I think it would help to clarify, because I received some phone calls specifically about why is the commission not doing X about the sheriff or whatever they thought we should be doing. And we need to understand that we do not, they need to understand that we do not have positional authority over him. He's an elected constitutional officer, and you know, he has to follow his steps, and he's accountable to the people for his decision. So I think sometimes people give us more credit for power that we don't possess. We don't have the ability to just go in there and say, okay, we don't like the way this is done, so we're going to now run it.
It was like you were saying, there's existing laws that's in place, and whenever that happened, there was the internal investigation that happened at the sheriff's office, and then there was the other incident that the FBI itself was investigating that. Us as a commission, I felt like we didn't have any authority to intervene or assist in an FBI investigation.
Well, and if there's, you know, our job is to set budgets. Our job is to set policy, to set you know, our ordinances, if there's an ordinance that needs to be tightened, but we're typically in the code enforcement side of it, not Ms. Roser's comments about having teeth in it. I agree with that, but we got to be careful that we're not growing teeth in areas that we don't have authority to grow teeth in. But
Mr. Nelson, run it by Randy. Have him call me if he's got any ideas. I'm sure he'll be happy to tell them to me. I've known Randy for years.
Well,
I am grateful and thankful that we as a county voted to adopt both of those resolutions tonight. I think it was the right thing to do.
So at the town hall meeting that I'm holding on January 27th at 7 p.m. in these chamber meetings, that could be one of the opportunities for people in our community to come forward, especially the African American community, and let me know their concerns, if they have any, of how this process is being handled. I don't want to be out there championing anything that I'm not hearing. So if you think it's important to be there, I encourage the people of the community to be there.
And just remind folks that we cannot be there, because that would be a violation of the Sunshine Law. So if you're having a private town hall meeting, we, by law, should not be there at that thing. So I don't want people to think we're neglecting the issue.
Unless it is
Unless
noticed.
it's advertised.
Well, I don't think, is it advertised as a public, open to the Sunshine meeting? Are there notes going to be minutes going to be taken? Probably not. So
But
the
even
safest
if we
thing
had-
for us to do is not be there.
Even if we were to attend, we wouldn't be able to interchange or answer any questions or for anything that might come before the board.
So if there's anything that's talked about that could possibly come before the board, we cannot
Mhm.
even listen to Howard
So
talk about his ideas on
I
it.
support, Commissioner Kessler holding the town hall meeting, but for that reason, we won't be able to be there.
We won't be able to be there.
Good. Okay, couple of other things. There's, I got a letter, I don't know if anyone else got a letter, complaining about the boom box noise from cars on Trice Lane. Did any of you get a letter of that? No, I
Let's
got
go
it.
back to that code enforcement thing.
Could be, could be.
Was it anonymous?
No, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, and I think that's gone to the Florida Supreme Court already, and didn't they overrule that?
Vehicle noise? We don't have an ordinance that addresses that specifically because of potential constitutional.
There's a guy that drives by my house with open exhaust pipes on his truck that you can hear him coming a mile away.
Sheriff's Department, in our ordinance, the noise has to sustain itself at a certain decibel level for a certain period of time.
Right.
So most time just has to be in a home-to-home or next door.
But that doesn't even apply to vehicle noise, though, correct?
No, that doesn't apply to vehicle noise. That's just in that.
If he'll come by my house when a couple of those YF-22 Raptors fly over, he'll probably break his meter. Those things.
But it's not sustained.
Yeah, that's long. You can hear him land at the airport.
So the county attorney, can you help me with that? Because I would like to respond to the citizen.
If you want to, we can talk after this. I haven't read the letter. I haven't seen what.
Okay,
specifically
maybe I
was-
can give you the letter and maybe we could
Sure.
handle it that way. That'd be
Problem
great. Great. One more thing. There's a person that lives in the Emily Lane, Cooperwood area of the county. This is really a thing maybe for Louis, maybe for the attorney. And she seemed very sincere. I haven't met her. And she said that she wanted to put up a 10 by 10 storage building on her property. She lives on a half-acre lot. And I guess her system she went to maybe building department first, and they said, well, if it's under 100 square feet, you don't need to do anything with us, but you need to go to planning and zoning. And then I guess she called up planning and zoning, and she was told that she would have to pay $30 for a permit and or whatever it
EPA
is,
probably.
and do a drawing and have this building sketched out. And so I'm not familiar with this thing, so maybe Louis, you can maybe shed some light on this.
That's just a site plan, and they can draw it. Melissa, I've seen her help a lot of people.
Right. What's the purpose of the $30 though?
It's essentially to make sure that it is within, is not within the required, or it's within the required building setbacks. Under 100 square feet, there are no structural requirements that would require a building permit, but we do do the basic check that it's not in the front yard, for example. We do have regulations that it can't be in front of the house and things like that. So, very cursory review, and again, yeah, it is just a hand-drawn site plan and a $30
For example,
review.
it can't
while
be
you
on
wait.
It can't be on a vacant lot next door to you.
Yeah, that's another thing that we do basic checks like that, making sure it's not on making sure that it is on the property itself, and very basic checks, and it's done immediately. It's not something you have to drop off and come back for. So it's just a very cursory review.
Thank you.
Can I clarify, what's the trigger for that? You're saying it's a storage building?
It's under 100 square feet, a structure under 100 square feet.
Does it
100 square
apply
feet or
to,
under.
is there a certain minimum? I mean, if it's 50 square feet, is there, if they put a doghouse instead of a storage building, what's the trigger that starts that process?
Needing a DPA, I guess is what it is.
Yeah, technically anything that qualifies as defined as development, and I don't know if there's a square footage number. I don't think there is. Typically
required.
nobody will come in for a permit for a doghouse, but for a small storage building, yeah, we do check. We do
That's something that
require
if we wanted to set a limit and say, 100 square feet and below, you don't even have to come in.
No,
I mean,
she
is that something that we can correct, or I say correct, we can change by ordinance?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we may have to go back and check all the appropriate sections of the code, but yeah, I mean, that's something that could be changed.
Well, why don't we come back and tell you what it is?
Okay.
Because that's a revenue source.
It's a revenue source.
Run the
so
planning
and it offsets the cost of running the planning department. It's not a full one-to-one, but it's an offset. But
Well-
yes, we need to bring that back to you. Here's the minimums. Here's where we're at, and then if we want to change it, we change them.
It doesn't matter if it's a simple pole barn, or they storing hay under it. You know what I mean? All those triggers that if we eliminate the planning department's time, then certainly don't need a fee to.
Well, they're also looking for non-conform, which I'm surprised this
Yes,
person even bothered to
non-conforming.
get a permit, because most people wouldn't have done that. But anyway, they're also looking for past non-conforming uses on the property. If they have any issues on it, then they're not going to let them proceed. If they have a code violation, for example, they're not going to let them proceed without resolving that. So
Well, and
that's another thing.
also you got to be concerned with this is in V zones as well. Now that we're
You can't put a shed in
you
V
can't
zone.
put a shed there. So, and if you do, and we're audited for that, it could ding everybody in the county. So that's one of them tough things that, you know, the people outside of the V-zone, they gotta pay for, you know,
Even
that
if you
trouble.
elevate it.
That's right, it has to be elevated.
So you could do it if
You could do it, you have to elevate it, but
It wouldn't
if
be
they don't
cost
know that, they don't come get a permit, they won't know that.
Yeah.
That's why.
Nobody elevates a shed.
That's right. That defeats the purpose at that point in time.
Yeah. Very good.
I'm good.
All right. Just real quick, I'd like to, probably the best thing I heard tonight is Mr. Nelson, fairness. That's what this is all about. This is what we need to continue to strive for. I regret that Mr. Simon Nelson left because I don't want to diminish the seriousness of his comments because I agree with him and I feel that way, but I'd like to just kind of add to that. I have 3 children of my own, 2 grown and 1 still in school, and I don't want my kids seeing black folks or white folks in any position. I want them to see human beings. I want us to get to the point where there's only one race. It's the human race. And, you know, we have to, it starts with us declaring that. It starts with us believing that and then showing people that's the way we live our lives. And that's certainly the way I've tried to raise my kids. And so just a word of encouragement. I wish he was here that we can keep working toward that. Thank you.
I get a lot of people asking me when we're going to do what, how, and when, and I asked David today a couple of things. So some of the projects that we've got going on, we have the Mashes Sand Park. The state is very close to approving the plans for Mashes Sands Park. We have the money from the BP Trust on that. And the same thing applies to the Shell Point Beach. So both in Mashes Sand and Shell Point Beach, we have the money and the plans are in the process of being approved. So that's where we are on those 2. The boat ramp out at Shell Point, I understand the plans are 90% completed or will be completed by this Friday. And there will be a citizens meeting very soon before the construction starts out there. So the boat ramp is on schedule, the money is available. The sidewalks at the senior center, I came on the board in 2010. They were probably being told about the sidewalks in 2001, most likely. But anyway, hopefully we can get those sidewalks started by this fall, but you have to understand the best laid plans of mine and men will be in trouble when government gets involved.
Those are on the 5-year work plan, I believe, Jerry. They should have specific.
That's what I'm saying. And talking to Bryant Park with DOT, there's a good possibility that'll be moved up as well as Harry Reid. The funding right now is for construction in 2016, but there's a good possibility that'll be moved up.
And also the sidewalk in Panacea from the senior
That's
citizen.
17, 18. He's fixing to talk about that.
That's right. The sidewalks, yeah, they were back in 1890. They were talking about those, and they still haven't been done. But the sidewalks in Panacea, they are on a 5-year plan. So hopefully, once they can get on the plan, a lot of times we can move them up. And I'll do everything I can on that. For Mr. Cleve, you wake up. Otter Lake Road, Otter Lake Road's got some potholes in it. We need to see if we can get that on our resurfacing whenever possible. And of course, I understand we can only do what we have the money to do. But
I reiterated that to him today, Cleve, that we can only do. But yes, Cleve and I had looked at that not too long ago, as I told you, and we're going to see what we can do about it.
Very good.
Let me follow up real quick on the sidewalks. I had some people, or a woman asked me, why are you spending money on sidewalks when you could be paving our roads? The money that's the sidewalks is state money. It's not county money, and we couldn't take that money from that sidewalk and go pave a road with it. Just want to make sure everybody understands that, too.
Different bucket.
Different bucket. It's state bucket. It's not our money.
Yeah. On Levy Bay, Mr. Cleve, I talked to you about putting a warning sign there on the right-hand side where the curb is that's so high. As you go down at the end of Levy Bay, the person who built the curb there built it high enough that when people pull off, that they can drag the bottom of their car. So we can't do much about the curb that's there, but we can put a sign. By the way, the signs that you've got on the side of the road before the guardrails, did we put those up? Those signs are really working good. There was one guardrail down at the River of Life Church that I think they had a contest of who could hit that the most. And now we got those yellow protection signs on there.
We put up some signs down at Levy Bay. They might not still be there, but we took what we thought were some corrective actions down there. So we'll double check what we did. But
You just did that recently?
we did it right after you talked to us.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'm
a lot
so
of times
sorry.
these signs are put up and they're
Well,
vandalized, and we.
It's
I'll let
just
you know
on the
about it.
end of that curb as you're going down to make the turn. That's the highest curb I've ever seen.
We'll look at them again, but.
I'll look at it and give you a call.
Okay.
That's all.
And I think we've had a good night and a productive night. I want to reiterate what I've said earlier in the meeting when we were discussing the issue, that I am against racism in Wakulla County, and I'm very much against all forms of discrimination. And I think we made great strides tonight in putting forth both of those resolutions tonight. But there was a lot of good comments that was made, and I want to thank the citizens who came tonight to speak on that issue. And I wanted to ask each of the citizens that are here tonight to speak on that issue to please feel free to call me or contact me if there's any further thing that you would like to discuss or my issue or opinion or anything. Just please feel free to contact me, and I would be glad to talk with you and to help further if I can.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. We are adjourned.
Started to mention your good news, but I thought
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm thinking, should I or should I not?
Yes, sir.